we are here in sunny California for Future Travel Experience, and I'm joined here by Rupen Philloura, who is Director of Terminal Operations and AOCC at Miami International Airport. Rupen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So firstly, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at MIA?
Certainly. So I have about 25 years of experience, all in the aviation industry. I worked at about 6 different airports. I've done some consulting out in Africa, Middle East, Asia. I've developed some technologies myself. So, and now I'm at Miami. So that's kind of a roundup of my experience.
And you led Miami through the COVID-19 pandemic and worked closely with ACI World for an airport health accreditation. What are your personal lessons learned from the pandemic, would you say?
So very important lessons that I learned is how important it is to empower your employees. The whole environment during COVID was so fluid. There were countries opening up, closing off, different regulations, there were different health standards, and we all had to adapt to them quickly and swiftly in order to keep the business going. So that was one of the very big things that I learned, and how important it is to pivot and pivot quick, and how important it is to also empower your employees who are actually doing all the work on the front lines.
Now, post-pandemic, how would you say that the passengers have changed in how they move around the terminal and also their behavior?
Sure. So at Miami itself, we have been hitting records. We were the busiest international passenger airport for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years in the U.S. The passengers, they've been flying in and out of Miami through the pandemic. The state of Florida has been open, and Miami, being a key hub for American, has been open for business. So the passenger today we have, they want to get through the airport quickly and they want to have a lot of amenities. They want to have a lot of choices. So our food and beverage and retail is doing excessively well. And the passenger of today is, I would say, quite tech savvy and very demanding as well.
Now, what are your biggest challenges in terms of terminal operations?
Oh gosh, I think biggest challenges are we are adopting technology so quickly, and it's a challenge for our employees to keep up with the technology, because at the end of the day, I feel our employees need to be empowered in order to assist the customers over there. So that's a pretty big challenge we have in Miami. The other thing is the influx of so many passengers and the influx of new airlines which are starting in the airport, and that kind of taxes the facility. So we have to stay on top of our cleaning of the facility. We have to stay on top of all our conveyances. We have to stay on top of every possible touch point at the airport for the passenger, and that could be quite taxing as well.
And someone said earlier in the conference today that the rise of the VFR travel and leisure traveller really puts a lot of strain on the facilities in terms of, they get there earlier, they have different needs to business travellers. Is that something you're seeing?
Yes, we are. Thankfully for us also, we have quite a lot of amenities to meet those demands. And also the airport is being transformed. We are going into a big construction, modernization, and renovation of the entire airport facility.
Oh, could you tell us a little bit more about that project?
So actually, about 2 weeks ago, we just started our first kind of big project, which is the central terminal. And we are starting with the ticket counters, revamp the baggage system, and then eventually the facade of the central terminal itself. So that's a pretty big project. We also have ongoing projects where we are modernizing all our restrooms. And another big project is also the Airport Operations Center. So we just finished all our design for the Airport Operations Center, and about a couple of years from now, we'll have a state-of-the-art facility.
Oh, I see. So the Airport Operations Center is not yet open as such?
Not the new center, but we do have an old Airport Operations Center, correct.
So what customer service initiatives are you developing in your department at the moment?
I think that the customer itself has so many touch points within the terminal complex itself. So it's like an ongoing training and understanding our customers and helping them. I think a big push for us at the airport is from the accessibility side. We want to make sure that each and every customer that comes through the airport is treated fairly and has the right amenities and access to all the amenities. And a big portion of that is the accessibility. So we have, a lot of different things we've done for the accessibility group. We have, meetings with different advocacy groups so we can understand what some of these needs are and be able to provide it, whether it's from a technology standpoint, whether it's from a personal interaction, or whether it's even a change in the infrastructure. So we're working hard on those.
Yes, and we've reported quite widely on it in International Airport Review, like with the dress rehearsals that you've been having for kind of children that haven't been traversed the airport before.
Yes, we do that quite often, like once a month. We have those so the kids can kind of get the whole feel of what it's like to check in and then board an aircraft. So we do that quite a bit. We work with different groups that can come into the airport and kind of do a test run to see what the environment is like.
It's going to be super important for airports going forward to make their facilities accessible, because they asked, Heathrow in a previous panel session today have said that they saw a quite big increase in the number of passengers that need that special assistance. Do you have any numbers that you can share on us in the increase of passengers? Or
Yeah, so on the accessibility side, I don't have any numbers, but I can just talk in the broader area of how many the passenger volume at the airport. So pre-pandemic, we were about 45 million. Last year, we shattered a record, which was above 50 million. And this year, we're on track to probably shatter that record as well. So I think average month to month, we are about 2 to 4% tracking higher. And certain holiday periods, we're about 10 to 14% higher. So we are completely taxing facilities, shattering records as far as passengers goes. And then back to the accessibility part, I think the more we are aware and educate ourselves about the different type of accessibilities that might be there, the more amenities and services we can add at the airport as well.
Absolutely. It sounds like you have a lot on your plate as well for the next couple of years with the increase in passengers. So Florida has to cope with a lot of extreme weather events. How does this affect operations at MIA, and how do you cope with this when it does occur?
Oh, it's sheer chaos. The airspace system shuts down. We have diversions that come in, and everything from fueling to jet bridges to agents to the ground service providers. Everyone is taxed because now you have to respond and mitigate some factors in there. For us, the big thing is communication with all our stakeholders, and it's a two-way communication. Everything flows to us through our airport operations center, and then we can actually disseminate all the information and be ready. So, for example, thunderstorms happen. We have international diversions come in. Of course, it creates a lot of congestion of the facilities. But at the same time, we work with our partners. We work with CBP. We work with TSA. We work with law enforcement. We let them know, hey, we got such and such flight coming in. Where are we going to put them? How are we going to process them? And then we deploy staff. I think a big element of that is getting our staff to recognize some of these needs of these passengers and also be able to provide them. So we try to stay on the ball as much as we can. We try to communicate with our sister airports in the region as well to figure out what the traffic flow is going to look like, whether the runways are open or not, whether the airport is taking more aircraft or not, or whether everything is getting diverted. So communication is a key factor so we can roll out all our contingency plans and take care of the problem.
Sounds like you're sharing data as well across the airport, which is also very good.
Yes, so, historically, as you've known, all the data have been siloed for so long. And within the last few years, the stakeholders, the airport itself has seen so much value in data sharing. Part of the data sharing is, you need the right key people that have the understanding of that data to then kind of make those decisions, say, what do we do to this data? And we found a lot of value in it. And we continue to break those walls, those silos, and, merge all this data and then figure out what we're going to do. In my personal opinion, I look at for a TAM, which is a total airport management system, data end to end from when the aircraft is in the air to when the passenger exits the airport. Every touch point in between, is a total airport management system. And that's what I would personally like to aim for and get our hands on.
So what technology is going to be disrupting the airport space in the next 2 to 3 years, in your opinion?
I think like the digitization of your travel documentation is going to be a big deal. I believe Changi is probably going to be the first airport, I think I just read somewhere, where you don't longer have to show a passport. And I think, your visas, your passport, your driver's license, everything else is all going to be digitized in some form or the other. So I think that's going to be a big driver coming up. I think another aspect of tech is giving the customer the power of their journey, to be able to make the decisions on the way, what they like, what they don't like. And at the other end, we as the airport or the stakeholders or the airlines are able to be agile and provide each customer a specific catered type of service. I think those are going to be key factors next to 2 to 3 years.
Rupen, that was my final question. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.